feel real fortunate that I am doing well in other areas. You know, had I not won the 20 game seasons 4 years in a row.
Dave Stewart was one of the greats in MLB. He was the winner of various accolades. He was respected and admired, but his controversial scandals ruined everything that he had built. Before we proceed, please don't forget to subscribe. The lie that started the downward spiral. Stewart's problems began back in spring training of 1984. That's when he admitted that he had known his former Dodgers teammate, pitcher Steve Howe, was using cocaine. What made things even worse was that Stewart had lied about it when his teammates and Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda had asked him. Looking back on his choice to cover for Howe, Stewart later said, "I probably hurt him more than I helped him. It was a mistake." Stewart's performance on the mound didn't do much to make people forget about the controversy surrounding him. He struggled throughout the season, making 32 appearances, 27 of which were starts, for the Rangers. By the end of the year, his record was 7-14, with a high 4.73 ERA, which didn't help take the focus off the issues he had off the field. The LWD Conduct. In 1985, Stewart faced another major setback when he was arrested on suspicion of lewd conduct with a prostitute named Lucille, who was later revealed to be a trans woman. He eventually pleaded no contest to a lesser charge of soliciting a prostitute. As a result, he was fined, given probation, and received a suspended sentence. Just 2 days after the arrest, Stewart attended a ceremony where he was honored with the Good Guys award by sports writers from Dallas-Fort Worth. While accepting the award, he openly admitted his guilt and expressed how ashamed he felt about the situation. Despite the controversy, Stewart wasn't kept out of the bullpen when the 1985 season kicked off. However, when he played in Kansas City, the ballpark organist made light of the situation by playing the Kenny Rogers song "Lucille" as Stewart took the field. Later that year in September, Stewart was traded to the Phillies. Unfortunately, his struggles continued on the mound, and he ended the season with a disappointing 0-6 record. In May 1986, the Phillies released Stewart, and soon after, his hometown team, the Oakland Athletics, picked him up. At this point, Stewart was 29 years old with a career record of 30-35. However, trouble seemed to follow him wherever he went. In 1987, he found himself in the middle of a heated situation during a game against the Cleveland Indians. The incident led to a bench-clearing brawl after Stewart knocked down Cleveland's manager, Pat Corrales. Reflecting on the altercation, Stewart, who was 29 at the time, didn't show any remorse for decking the 45-year-old manager. "He cussed me," Stewart explained, adding, "He's a sissy and a coward." The surprising battery charges. Apart from his excellent baseball records, Stewart was also widely known for his charitable work and strength of character. So the battery charges on a law enforcement officer came in as a surprise. Stewart and fellow teammate Todd Stottlemyre found themselves in legal trouble after an incident outside a Tampa nightclub in February. Stewart also had to deal with disorderly conduct charges. The incident stemmed from an altercation at a club where Stewart was accused of punching a police officer in the face. The trial lasted 7 days, and it must have been quite intense for both players. But after the jury deliberated for just 36 minutes, they reached a decision. Both pitchers were found not guilty. It was a big relief for them, especially considering the gravity of the charges. Things weren't easy for him since childhood. Stewart grew up in East Oakland, one of the toughest and poorest neighborhoods in the city. His father, David, worked hard as a longshoreman, while his mother, Natalie, held a job at a local cannery. Stewart's father was not very supportive of his son pursuing sports. He believed that nobody could make a decent living just by hitting a ball. Because of this, his father discouraged Stewart from playing, thinking it wasn't a practical career choice. However, Stewart's older brother stepped in to help. Recognizing his younger brother's passion for the game, he took the time to teach Stewart how to play. Stewart went to St. Elizabeth High School in Oakland, where he really made a name for himself in sports. He earned All-American honors in both baseball and football. In baseball, he played as a catcher, while in football, he shined as a linebacker and tight end. He didn't just stop there. He also played basketball and averaged 16 points per game as a small forward. Because of his talent, Stewart received an impressive 30 college scholarship offers to play football. However, he decided to turn them all down. Instead, he chose to pursue his dream of playing professional baseball. The Los Angeles Dodgers selected him in the 16th round of the 1975 Major League Baseball draft, and he was excited to sign with them, ready to take the next step in his baseball career. The not-so-impressive debut.
Gregory and I, we spent a lot of time in the backyard playing a game called Strikeout.
The Dodgers decided to turn Stewart into a pitcher, recognizing his strong arm as a valuable asset. He began his professional career with the Bellingham Dodgers in the short-season Single-A Northwest League. However, his first season didn't go as planned. He ended up with a 0.5 win-loss record and a 5.51 earned run average over 22 games, including 5 starts. To make matters worse, the Bellingham team set a record by losing their first 24 games of the season. Things started to look up for Stewart at the end of the 1956 season when he was promoted to the Midwest League. In 1977, he had a breakout year with the Clinton Dodgers, finishing with an impressive record of 17-4 and a 2.15 ERA in 24 starts. He also completed 15 games and had 3 shutouts. Even with such a stellar season, he lost out on the Midwest League MVP and top prospect honors to future Hall of Famer Paul Molitor, who played for the Burlington Bees at the time. Stewart moved up again in 1978 to play for the Area San Antonio Dodgers in the Texas League, where he had a solid season, going 14-12 with a 3.68 ERA in 28 starts. On September 22, 1978, Stewart made his major league debut, pitching 2 innings in relief against the San Diego Padres. He did well, allowing only 1 hit and no runs, and he struck out 1 batter, Jim Beswick. Unfortunately, that was his only appearance for the Dodgers that season. In 1979 and 1980, Stewart spent the entire time playing in Uriarte with the Albuquerque Dukes. Despite having an 11-12 record and a 5.24 ERA in 28 games in 1979, Stewart felt he had pitched well and was disappointed when he didn't get called up in September. In 1980, he turned things around, finishing with a 15-10 record and a 3.70 ERA on a Dukes team that won the Pacific Coast League Championship. He led the league in innings pitched with 202 and in starts with 29, while tying for the league lead in wins with 15. When spring training rolled around in 1981, Stewart was in a unique position. Since he was out of options, the Dodgers couldn't send him back to the minors without risking losing him to another team. They considered releasing him, but ultimately decided to cut Don Stanhouse instead. Stewart made the Dodgers' opening day roster and had a successful season, appearing in 32 games with a 2.49 ERA and 6 saves. He recorded his first major league win in his first appearance of the season on April 13th against the San Francisco Giants, where he pitched 2 scoreless innings in relief of Bob Welch. His first save came on August 16th against the Atlanta Braves. Redemption of the losing pitcher. Things took a turn when MLB players went on a 2-month strike starting June 12th. During that time, Stewart faced financial pressure and took a job with a Dodger fan who owned a metal fastener business. He also worked out with a semi-pro team alongside his teammate Bobby Castillo. The Dodgers made it to the split-season playoffs, and Stewart experienced his first taste of postseason action. Unfortunately, he was credited as the losing pitcher in the first 2 games of the division series against the Houston Astros. He allowed a walk-off homer to Alan Ashby in the first game and let the winning runs reach base in the 11th inning of the second game. Thankfully, he redeemed himself by not allowing a run in the 2 games he pitched during the 1981 World Series against the New York Yankees, helping the Dodgers win the championship in 6 games. In 1982, Stewart continued to develop as a player, spending time as both a starter and a reliever. He appeared in 45 games, starting 14 of them, and finished with a record of 9-8 and a 3.81 ERA. After the 1982 season, there was even talk of trading him to the Texas Rangers in a package deal for catcher Jim Sundberg, but the trade fell through when Sundberg refused to waive his no-trade clause. In 1983, Stewart played in 46 games for the Dodgers, mostly as a relief pitcher, and had a record of 5.2 with a solid 2.96 ERA. One of the most memorable moments of that season came on July 11th, when he was involved in a play that Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda called one of the craziest moments he had ever witnessed, as 3 runs scored on a wild pitch. Poor form at Rangers. On August 19, 1983, the Dodgers made a significant move by trading Stewart to the Texas Rangers in exchange for Rick Honeycutt. The trade sparked a lot of discussion and debate, with many feeling that Rangers GM Joe Klein didn't get enough in return for his team's best pitcher. Once he joined the Rangers, Stewart was placed in the starting rotation. He had a solid run during his first stretch with the team, making 8 starts and finishing with a 5.2 record and a strong 2.14 ERA. However, things took a turn in 1984. Stewart struggled throughout the season, ending up with a disappointing 7-14 record and a 4.73 ERA in 27 starts. As a result, he lost his spot in the rotation. In January 1985, Tom House came on board as the new pitching coach for the Rangers. He recognized that Stewart needed a new pitch to help improve his game and began teaching him a split-fingered fastball. Unfortunately, in 1985, Stewart was mostly used as a relief pitcher, and his performance out of the bullpen wasn't great. One particularly tough moment came on May 22nd when he gave up a 3-run homer to Jorge Orta of the Kansas City Royals, costing the Rangers the lead. The home crowd was not happy, booing him off the field. After the game, Stewart reacted poorly, calling the fans idiots and challenging them to come down to the field and do his job for him. His comments didn't sit well with the team's new general manager, Tom Grieve, who fined him $500 for the outburst. However, that punishment didn't satisfy Rangers owner Eddie Chills, who insisted that Grieve trade Stewart. Finding a weak market for Stewart was challenging, but on September 13, 1985, the Rangers finally managed to trade him to the Philadelphia Phillies in exchange for pitcher Rick Surhoff. In total, Stewart had a tough year with the Rangers, finishing 1985 with a 0-6 record and a 5.42 ERA in 42 games. During the offseason, Stewart explored the possibility of joining the Yomiuri Giants in Nippon Professional Baseball. However, they couldn't come to an agreement on a contract, so he ended up re-signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. In the 1985 and 1986 seasons, Stewart appeared in 12 games for the Phillies, but struggled, finishing with a 6.0 ERA. There were whispers that he might have been pitching while injured, but despite those concerns, the team decided to release him on May 9, 1986. Stewart later expressed his disappointment, claiming that the Phillies had misled him. He said they told him that if he kept his nose clean, he would get a chance to succeed, but instead he found himself without a team. He turned a new leaf with athletics. Stewart had a tryout with the Baltimore Orioles, but unfortunately, they told him they didn't even have a spot for him in Double-A. After that, he signed a free agent contract with the Oakland Athletics on May 23, 1986. He played just one game with the Triple-A Tacoma Tigers before joining the A's main roster. On July 7, the team needed a starter for a nationally televised game against Boston, so the manager called on Stewart. He did pretty well, allowing 4 runs over 6 innings and earning the win. During the game, Stewart threw some forkballs, a pitch that his old Rangers manager Doug Rader had mocked. But Oakland's pitching coach, Dave Duncan, thought the forkball was fantastic and encouraged Stewart to use it much more. Taking Duncan's advice, Stewart quickly became a better pitcher. He still had his powerful fastball, but now he could keep hitters off balance with his slow, tumbling forkball. By late July, he was a regular in the A's rotation, and in his last 13 starts, he threw 4 complete games and had a solid 3.41 ERA. It was clear that the journeyman had finally made his mark in the big leagues. During the 1989 ALCS, Stewart excelled. Winning both games, he pitched with a 2.81 ERA. He opened the World Series with a complete game shutout against the San Francisco Giants. The series was paused when an earthquake struck the Bay Area just before Game 3. When play resumed 10 days later, Stewart pitched again in Game 3, earning his second win of the series by allowing 3 runs in 7 innings. The A's swept the series, and Stewart was named the MVP, finishing with a 2-0 record and a 1.69 ERA. Following that successful season, he signed a new 2-year contract extension worth $7 million with the Athletics, making it the largest contract in baseball at the time. In 1990, Stewart had another outstanding season, going 22-11 and maintaining a 2.56 ERA over 36 starts. He led the league in innings pitched, complete games, and shutouts, while finishing third in the Cy Young voting. On June 29th, he threw a no-hitter against the Toronto Blue Jays at Sky Dome, marking the first no-hitter by an African-American pitcher since Jim Bibby in 1973. Remarkably, that same day, Fernando Valenzuela of the Dodgers also threw a no-hitter, making it a historic day in Major League Baseball. The A's clinched their 3rd consecutive pennant by beating the Boston Red Sox in the ALCS, and Stewart was named the ALCS MVP, going 2-0 with a 1.13 ERA. The 1992 season was marked by elbow tendonitis, but Stewart still managed to make 31 starts, his fewest since 1986, and finished with a 12-10 record and a 3.66 ERA. The A's made it back to the playoffs, but they were considered underdogs against the Toronto Blue Jays in the ALCS. Stewart started the series opener, pitching 7.2 innings and allowing only 3 runs in a game the A's won. However, after losing the next 3 games, the team was on the brink of elimination. In response, Stewart called a team meeting for a pep talk, and he went out in Game 5 to pitch a complete game victory, allowing just 2 runs. It was a remarkable performance, as it marked the first complete game victory in an ALCS since Bruce Hurst did it in 1986. Unfortunately, the Blue Jays won the next game, eliminating the A's from the postseason. On December 8, 1992, Stewart signed a 2-year, $8.5 million deal with the Blue Jays. He felt sad leaving the A's, as he had hoped to finish his career there, but he appreciated how the Blue Jays respected him more with their offer. In 1993, Stewart made 26 starts for the Blue Jays, finishing with a 12-weight record and a 4.44 ERA, despite battling injuries. His heart and competitiveness kept him in the rotation, and he was a strong support for other pitchers. In the ALCS, he pitched well in Game 2, allowing just 1 run over 6 innings to earn the win. On Thanksgiving Day, he even helped the Salvation Army deliver food to the homeless, before making it to the game on time for a win in Game 6, earning ALCS MVP honors for the second time. Stewart continued with the Blue Jays in 1994, making 22 starts with a 7-8 record and a 5.87 ERA before the MLB strike ended the season early. He considered retiring but was frustrated with the fans' lack of empathy toward players. When baseball returned, he re-signed with the Athletics and was their opening day starter. However, he struggled, going 3-7 with a 6.89 ERA in 16 starts. Eventually, the manager decided to move him to the bullpen, but Stewart chose to retire instead, announcing it on July 24, 1995. He described this decision as one of the lowest points of his life. The coaching career. Stewart served as Sandy Alderson's assistant with the Athletics in 1996, before moving to the San Diego Padres under Kevin Towers in 1997. In 1998, he became the Padres' pitching coach, turning around a struggling staff and helping the team reach the World Series. Several pitchers credited Stewart with their improvement. He also ran the Latin America scouting department, but still hoped for a front office role. In 2002, he became the pitching coach for the Milwaukee Brewers, but resigned mid-season to care for his mother. He later coached the U.S. national baseball team at an Olympic qualifying tournament. Stewart then started a sports agency and negotiated big contracts for players like Eric Chavez. On September 25, 2014, he was hired as the general manager for the Arizona Diamondbacks, reporting to his former manager, Tony La Russa. He signed a major deal with pitcher Zach Greinke, worth $206.5 million. However, the Diamondbacks struggled under his management, leading to his firing in 2016. In 2020, the A's planned to retire Stewart's number 34 jersey, but the ceremony was postponed due to COVID-19. It was finally announced for September 11, 2022, making it a re-retirement, as he wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Stewart was famous for his intimidating pitching style. He won 1 World Series MVP and 2 League Championship Series MVP awards. In Oakland, he also received the Roberto Clemente Award for his community service. That is it for this one, but if you happen to like MLB legends, make sure to check out our latest videos on our channel, Baseball Icons. I'm sure you will love it. Oh, and while you are at it, drop a comment telling us who to cover next, and don't forget to subscribe.